Today I'm making pork and greens stew. First thing I have to do is to cut that pork off the bone, trim the fat off of it, cut it up into about 3-inch chunks, get about 4 pounds of that, and boil it with a quart of chicken stock, 2 beers, and about, it said 1 large sweet onion. I got 2 small ones, so that's what I'm going to do. And then you got to boil it for about 2 hours, pull the meat out, shred it, and then it all goes back in after you take a little of the fat off the top. Along with a lot of other stuff. We got some hominy that goes in it. And hominy's a weird thing. It's like corn, but not. I guess that's what they usually make grits out of. Anyways, we've also got a can of frozen turnip greens. And that's about it. It's pork shoulder, salt, pepper, beer. It actually calls for porter, Oktoberfest beer, but I use cheap alcoholic beer. Sweet onion, chopped turnip greens, hominy. There we go. Okay, I've got my meat trimmed up. Mr. Porky's pretty fat. We got our onion chopped up. We got our chicken stock melting. And 2 of those beers are going in the stew. And 1 of those beers is going in the cook. I must salt and pepper the meat. I got the broth and the beer and the onions almost up to boiling. And I'm fixing to put that meat in there. Okay, we got it up to a boil. I'm gonna put a cover on it, reduce the low, put it on the back burner. Okay, turn that off. Okay, we got a good boil going. I'm gonna cover it, reduce the heat to low, probably move it off to the back burner, and turn the vent fan on. It boils for about 2 hours. All right, 2 hours later, not quite. I have fished all of the meat out of the cooking liquid. And I'm fixing to strain that cooking liquid even a little bit better and then run it through my fat separator because there's a lot of porky fatness in there. Anyways, I'm gonna let that cool off for a few minutes, then take 2 forks to it and shred it all up because it's going back in the juice. Here's my fat separator. I absolutely love it. And you can see it all just separating away. It doesn't take very long, just a second or 2 to sit there. Then what you do with this one is you pull this trigger, and there's a, if you can see it, there's a little nipple there. It's like a silicone nipple there at the very bottom. And all the good juice is drained out, and then you just stop when that fat line gets to the bottom. It works great. This is, again, one of the equipment reviews from Cook's Country, America's Test Kitchen. It's my 1 online subscription. I use them for their equipment reviews. I mean, when I look up anything for the kitchen, whether it's like a bread machine, a hand mixer, spatulas, this separator, all that comes from their equipment review section, and I just can't recommend their stuff highly enough. It's always kick-ass. I'm about halfway done shredding through the chunks of meat. I'm about halfway done shredding through the chunks of meat. You can see how it turns into the shreddy stuff and how it was chunky stuff. I got the fat separating here. Okay, we finally got that all shredded up. I'm gonna go ahead and put that back in there. Back in it went. I gave it a stir. Okay, now it's time for us to add in the turnip greens. I gotta open a can of hominy and rinse it, and drain it and rinse it. And then add that to there and then just heat it all up and it's ready to go. It's to be thawed, but I didn't. I'm just gonna pour them in there frozen and let it heat up and thaw in there. It took a minute to get them frozen turnip greens up and boiling with everything again. But now that I'm up and boiling, it says to reduce the heat down to a simmer and go about 20 minutes or until the greens are tender, which will give me time to cook up my cornbread. Num num.
All dished up with the cornbread all crumbled up in it. A little bit of extra salt was needed, but this is definitely a good stew. Hearty, got your greens in it, and it's got an interesting flavor. I don't know if the beer adds to that. Enjoy!